Happy International Youth Day 2017. The theme for this year's day is Youth Building Peace. And there couldn't be a more appropriate focus because we've got incredible young people across the globe working tirelessly to combat extremism and build a more peaceful and prosperous future. We're at a critical moment in the youth and peace building space. We've had some big wins over the past couple of years. We've made great strides to change the narrative of youth as partners for peace rather than drivers of conflict. With Security Council Resolution 2250, the first ever Security Council resolution on youth, peace, and security. This was a testament to the power of young people to turn their voices into concrete action. We've made great progress in identifying young influencers around the globe, sharing best practices and enlisting credible voices to assist us in engaging youth audiences. And we've taken the military fight directly to ISIS and other extremist organizations on the battlefield. There have been critical recent gains in the physical battle space where coalition forces have reduced ISIS control in Iraq. And we now have an opportunity as a community to build upon these gains and to try to deliver a knockout punch to extremist ideology in many parts of the globe, ushering in an era of greater peace. Now, we know all too well that extremist organizations continue to prey on vulnerable and disenfranchised youth and local grievances by offering a false sense of dignity, of opportunity, and of adventure. I often think about this through a lens of pancakes and guns. I don't know if folks remember, but a couple of years ago, ISIS released a pancake recipe on Twitter with a picture of a fluffy stack of pancakes dripping with maple syrup, quickly followed by tweets showing young men holding guns, pancakes and guns. And they were trying to appeal to young people's economic interests and desire for greater dignity amidst challenging environments in some parts of the world. And we recognized that it couldn't just be governments or international organizations pushing back, because research shows that young people are deeply influenced by their peers and can be moved by role models and by one another. We recognize that to be successful, we needed to enlist a powerful network of young influencers, incredible voices pushing back in meaningful ways, showing that the pancakes won't taste as good as they look, or that the gun won't provide the desired dignity that the individual seeks, pointing vulnerable youth to positive alternative directions and pathways, to waffles, to crepes, to French toast rather than those hollow ISIS pancakes, dignified jobs as opposed to guns, and making these alternative pathways cool, exciting, and hip, celebrating peace and prosperity as opposed to violence. Well, the good news is that these youth influencers and credible voices exist. It's all of you. I think about friends like Imran Abuba, who I got to see earlier this week, a Young African Leaders Initiative and Generation Change Fellow, and 25-year-old from Northeast Nigeria who founded the Youth Coalition Against Terrorism, a coalition of over 600 students, lawyers, educators, and activists pushing back against Boko Haram and working to end terrorism and religious extremism in Northeast Nigeria. I think about Hessel Fernandez, a State Department Emerging Young Leader Award recipient from Cofradia, Honduras, once the murder capital of the world, who founded the Skate Brothers Club in his hometown to provide a safe and positive environment that keeps at-risk youth off the streets and less vulnerable to being picked off by gangs. And I think of the countless other young male and female influencers who I've met on travels in the US and overseas, pushing back against extremism, promoting positive alternatives with their peers, and creating energy, excitement, and coolness around positive pathways in life. So on this International Youth Day 2017, let's recommit ourselves to building peace. Let's activate our networks of global youth influencers, and let's not be afraid to experiment with new tactics. like strategies used to fight global health epidemics, isolating the disease and those vulnerable to it, finding credible voices who can connect to that population, educating target audiences about prevention and positive alternatives, and making those alternatives hip, cool, and exciting. As young leaders from around the globe, let's be the vaccine that inoculates our communities from extremist ideology. That's a goal worth fighting for, and that's what we're committed to try and achieve as the US government, working in partnership with all of you. Happy International Youth Day 2017.